What's your biggest retirement question? Whatever it is, you'll find answers here. It's time for Ease into Retirement.
It's time once again to ease into retirement with Tom Mosley, founder at Mosley Wealth Management, serving you here in Southern California. Thank you so much for tuning into the program as we talk investing, finance, and retirement. Tom's got 30 plus years of experience in the financial sector and a team of all-star advisors and amazing support staff waiting to help you get to and through this thing called retirement with that complimentary written retirement blueprint. 855-526-1600 is the number to call throughout the show. To make it happen, you just got to reach out to them at 855-526-1600. Of course, you can call anytime as well if you jot that number down, but 855-526-1600. We're going to get into a lot of good stuff today, have some fun with Tom. So with that, my friend, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. I think at one time or another, we all do great and we all do poorly. So I'm doing great right now. So you might as well enjoy it, right?
There you go. I like it. And you just got back from a little trip down to Florida. How was that fun?
That was fun. Got a friend down there with a big 47-foot boat. We went out on 3 times and just 3 quick days. It's not worth going across the country for 3 days. Like we should have stayed longer, but we were back late last night and had the, how would you call it, the honor, the privilege, the sad idea. We flew back with the body of a slain soldier, and a 19-year-old from Temecula, and it was so touching to see the casket and the body taken off the plane. I mean, you're just thankful for people like that who give their lives even in times of relative peace so that we can be free and we can do the things we do here in America and almost never be touched by it here. But when you see something like that and you see the mom walk out to the casket and coming off the plane, it's just really touching.
Yeah. As a military dad, absolutely makes me, certainly makes it tugs at the heartstrings, normally, but certainly as a military dad, it definitely does. Well, let's get into our show this week. Since you're right here in Cali, I want to do the little Seven Dwarfs connection here, a little Disney connection. So we're going to use the personality traits of the Seven Dwarfs to talk about, folks and types of people maybe you see, through your many years coming to the office for some help, some financial help. So we'll start with the classic. We'll start with grumpy. Right? Always a little upset about something, especially in the news. And that's certainly easy to do, right now, Tom. Is it hard to craft things for the grumpy folks? And by the way, this is probably me. But anyway, what do you think?
There's some people that are just born grumpy. I even know some grandpas that the families just call them grumpy. You know what I mean? And the guy I'm thinking about right now, he's a great guy, but I guess he's a little grumpy all the time.
Okay.
When I first started my business, I wanted to start this business in 1995 to help people never run out of income. And then I realized a couple of years later that taxes were the biggest thing. So I had to major on income and taxes when it came to the financial side. And that's what we've always done. But then as business matured about 5 years ago, we added this to our mission statement. Are you ready? We help people who are pleasant to get along with, make sure they never run out of sufficient income and they pay as little as they're legally required to pay in taxes. Because there's some people, no matter what you do for them, what you do to them, they are just grumpy all the time. Some people wake up, good morning, God, and then other people wake up every morning, good God, morning. You know what I'm saying? And so you just have to deal with the grumpies, but sometimes we don't have to deal with the grumpies. When we have a seminar or a workshop and we say we will build you a financial retirement blueprint absolutely free, complimentary, sometimes somebody will say, well, hey, there's got to be a catch. Why do you do it for free? We do it for free, Mark, so we can choose the people we want to work with, because there's some people that are just grumpy all the time. So if you're the grumpy dwarf, we'll come in, we'll help you, and try to be as nice as you can. We may take you on as a client. Otherwise, we'll let you be grumpy for somebody else.
There you go. Exactly. All right. Good job with that one. How about the bashful type of person? The ones that are quiet and just kind of, maybe roll with the flow. Is there a little danger in being a bashful when it comes to your finances?
Oh, absolutely. You never know what they're thinking. You never know what they really want. There's some people that are always changing what they want, but these people they're just bashful. They're reserved. They won't really tell you where they are. all progress when it comes to financial services, and I steal a quote from Dan Sullivan, the great business coach, but all progress starts with telling the truth and being transparent about where you are. If I'm going to tell you how to get to my house, I got to know where your house is or where you are right now. And when somebody comes in and we sit down with them to build a plan, we have to know where they are. And if they're bashful about telling us about things or reserved about telling us about things, they don't ask any questions. There are a lot of people think that if somebody questions you, they just don't trust you. And if somebody doesn't question you, then they trust you implicitly. But that's not necessarily true. If they ask you questions, they're just wanting to find out, some information. And if they don't ask you any questions, they scare me because you don't really know if you're hitting the mark or not. I think of when my children and my grandchildren were earlier than being able to talk. And they would just cry sometimes, and you knew they were hurting. You knew something was wrong, but you didn't know what it was.
Right.
And I think of that bashful person as somebody who just won't talk to you and tell you what they're trying to accomplish and where they're trying to go. It's really important in financial planning that you find somebody you can trust, and you so to speak, spill your guts to them as to where you are and where you want to go, because that's when they can really help you. Don't be bashful.
Absolutely, don't be bashful. And if you're feeling that way, get onto the calendar. 855-526-1600 to talk about your retirement strategy. My daughter says I'm the next one, Tom. She says I'm dopey.
We're all dopey to our
At
kids,
times. True.
Yeah. But some people really feel like they're dumb about making financial decisions. I get it. Is that person a lost cause? No, they just need some help, some education, some instruction, build a little trust with that person so that they understand that like with us, we've been doing this for decades. If you look at all of us together, I've been doing it for over 3 decades. Chris Radford, our investment professional, has been doing this for over 4 decades. And some of our guys have been with us only 4, 5, 6 years, but they've learned a lot during that time. And don't be dopey and try to do it on your own. Be out there getting somebody who's going to help you make good financial decisions.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it for sure. Get some of that expertise and experience, because then maybe you'll be happy, right? So then maybe you'll be one of the Seven Dwarfs. There's got to be some hidden challenges, though, for somebody who's just always yeah, I'm good, let's just do it. I mean, that seems weird, but I kind of feel like it could be.
When you study selling, you find out that you got to find out somebody's pain point to get them to move from where they are right now to where they need to be. And some of you come into our offices and you tell us what your pain point is. You say, my advisor never calls me. I don't really know whether I've got enough money that when I'm in my 80s, I'm going to run out of income. I mean, you can really nail the pain. And some of you are just happy. You're just happy with where you are, happy with what's going on, happy if you want to move over to us, happy when you come in the office, happy when you leave. We have to sort of know what the pain point is so we can know what we're trying to solve.
That's a good way of looking at that. I like that. I really appreciate how you kind of turn that on its side there a little bit. What about sleepy? All right, so another dwarf here. This is maybe that person that just doesn't pay much attention to any of it because it's not their bag.
No, I mean, you're about to become self-employed when you go into retirement if you're not there yet. And you can't just walk into it in a haze, in a daze, in a sleep mode. You've got to know what your investments are. You've got to know where you want to go. You can't be sleepy. You can't be uninformed. And because you're going to get yourself into trouble, you're going to trust somebody that you shouldn't trust because there's a lot of people out there who will take you and put you into situations that are best for them and not best for you. All of our people that work for us are fiduciaries by licensing, and when we invest your money, we have to invest it in your best interest. So don't be sleepy when you go into it.
Yeah. Tom, I think at some point we probably feel like we're all of the Seven Dwarfs. But certainly at different times of our life, as we age, we might become a little bit more like Sneezy, where illness is starting to play a bigger factor than it used to.
That goes back to being grumpy sometimes. When somebody comes in and they're grumpy, I have to try to figure out, Mark? Are these people grumpy just because their name is Grumpy, or are they grumpy because they're
hurt,
not feeling good? They hurt. And I've gone through some things, in my lifetime. Fortunately, right now I'm not there, but I've gone through some things where I was just grumpy because I didn't feel good, and so the illness and where you are. That's why we encourage people to have a solid retirement plan, so that when you're not grumpy and you're not sneezy and you're in those go-go years, you can go and be happy and enjoy life. I think there are times when we touch on all of these seven dwarfs in our lives.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And hopefully at the end of the day, though, we want to be more like Doc. We'll finish with him, right? So since he's the little bit different term there, he's that educated, successful one. And so, maybe they're doing a good job on their own, but the whole retirement thing is it's a different animal.
Well, everything works until it doesn't.
True.
Okay? And some people adopt a philosophy or something they saw. Unbelievably, the number one place where people go to get their financial advice online is TikTok, and they have no necessary qualifications to be on there and to give information. And the information they're giving may be exactly right for them, but it may be exactly wrong for you. Now, that's where you come in. And hopefully, that's where you come in. You come into one of our 5 offices that are all over Southern California, Encino, Arcadia, Ontario, here in Anaheim, and down in San Diego. You bring all of your stuff and you let us help you build a retirement blueprint so you can know these things and you won't be grumpy, bashful, dopey, happy, sleepy, sneezy, or doc all the time, but you'll have a sound financial plan so that you can enjoy your retirement. That's our goal, so that you can not be your financial advisor necessarily through retirement, but you can just relax and be retired and enjoy your retirement and never have to worry about running out of money, never have to worry about paying too much in taxes, and you can be a pleasant person for us to work with. That's what we want. That's what we'd love to see.
And then you can go hi-ho, off to retirement we go. So 855-526-1600 is the number to call to get yourself onto the calendar. Sorry for the cheesy there, but it worked really good. So 855-526-1600, as Tom said, to come out and visit with the team in one of the offices, Anaheim, Arcadia, Encino, Ontario, San Diego, or of course online, on Zoom if you'd like as well. So just reach out to them. That's the first step. 855-526-1600. This is Ease Into Retirement, and there is more to come after this.
Retirement taxes can take a big bite out of your savings. Want to know what your bill could be? Go to easemytaxburden.com and you can uncover your potential retirement tax bill in just 3 easy steps and get your no-cost report instantly. Go now to easemytaxburden.com and see where you stand.
Back here for more of Ease Into Retirement with Tom Mosley, founder of Mosley Wealth Management, serving you here in Southern California. And Tom, let's talk a little bit this section of the show here about the review process, those periodic conversations. Obviously, good financial professionals are going to stay in touch with their clients on an ongoing basis. What are some of those conversation pieces for folks who maybe have never engaged with a financial professional? Let's talk about a few of those things just so they can kind of share some of the insights, right? How do they look? How do they go down? Different personality types. We talked about the Seven Dwarfs earlier, right? For example, I'm sure you have different people that come in, some who really want to get into the weeds, the nitty gritty, and some that want to stay very high level. How do you deal with that data-centric kind of person?
Well, you sort of know these people when they go through our process. Now, there's a reason we call our show Ease Into Retirement, and that E-A-S-E, each one of those letters stands for a period of time where we're bringing people on as clients. The first thing we do is we do an envision, is what we call it. We get a vision for where you are, where you want to go, how much you have, can you afford the price tag of what you want to do in retirement? That's the envision. And then we go away, we take a week, we take 10 days, and we come back and we do an analysis, and that's our analyze. That's the A of ease, envision, analyze. The A of ease is where we come back and we say, here's where you are, here's the risk you're taking, here's the performance it's had, here's what it'll do for you through the future, here's what we recommend in our analysis that you change based on our years and years of experience that you would make this plan work. And generally at the end of that second period of time, maybe 1 meeting, maybe 2 meetings, you say, yeah, let's work with Tom and the guys at Mosley Wealth Management. Then we go into the S, the strategize, where we actually put the strategy together. We move the money over. We put the strategy in place. We decide how much money's going in the bank, how much money's going into safe investments, how much money's going to stay in the market at risk. And we do those things during the strategize. But now to your question, Mark, that last E of envision, analyze, strategize, the last E is our review process. We call it evaluate. Because just like a pilot flying somewhere, they file a flight plan as to where they intend to go, but they have to continually evaluate that flight plan. And that's our review process. Some people, they want a review every 6 months. Some people want and need a review every 1 year. Some people that have been with us for a while, we have to fight with them almost to get them to come in to do a review. And a lot of times I hear, well, you're doing a great job. Why do I need to come in? Well, we just want to make sure you're okay, and we want to make sure if anything has changed, we want to make sure those things. Well, sometimes when people come in, like you said, now, the first kind of person that comes in, they're very interested in the data. I call them my engineers, okay? And not engineers, but they're the engineers. Some of you don't have a budget. The engineers, you might have 4 pieces of graph paper all taped together, and you can show me that you've got enough money according to your plan to last through 2145. I mean, you've got it out there 120 years. And I like working with engineers, actually. I know I've got friends in this industry who don't even want to work with engineers, but I always feel like it's a challenge. If I can't defend the numbers and where I'm trying to go with someone, then I, maybe I shouldn't be their financial advisor. So I'll spend the time that it takes, always prepared to do so, to give those engineers and those data-oriented people everything they need up to a certain point. Obviously, they're not going to understand everything about 2145 and where's sometimes they want me to tell them where the market's going to be in 2145. I have no idea. Nobody has any idea where the market's going to be in 30 minutes.
I don't think they're going to be here anyway, so it won't matter, but yeah.
But the market is much different than really having a retirement blueprint that says, I am going to be secure. And that's what I've got to work with those engineers. They want the answer to every problem. And sometimes in the future, I just can't tell you exactly what every problem is going to be, but I should be able to sit down with you, and your advisor should be able to sit down with you and say, if the market does this, this is what we're going to do. If the market does this, this is what we're going to do. We have a plan. I don't know what's going to happen to me, but I know how I'm going to react whenever anything different might happen to me.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one type of person, right? So, and I love how you broke all that down with the breakdown of the E's as well. And if you're thinking about personality types, Tom, like my wife, and I'm sure a lot of ladies tend to come in and they are very family focused. They want to spend maybe more of those conversation pieces around how do we take care or what do we do for the family. Not to say that dads don't care about their family, I'm just saying that tends to be the kind of thought. I know my wife would be that way.
No, there's some people, I ask people often, I say, there's some people come in here and they want the last check that their kids write for their funeral to bounce. And then there's some people who want more money when they die than they have right now. Where are you? And most people say, well, I'm somewhere in the middle, but I have some people who say, I want to make sure and leave every single penny I can to my kids. I know myself, even in my life, I've been able to help some of my kids get into homes and do different major things that they wouldn't have been able to do at an earlier age in life. So the family focus is very important, because what you're trying to decide is not just the monthly income that individual or that couple needs, if it's a married couple, but you're trying to really put your finger on where do they want to spend their money. Do they want to give a lot of it away to their kids, to their church, to their synagogue, to their charity? Where do they want their money to go? That's why it's important for you to come in, sit down with us, and us ask the questions in that envision meeting at the very beginning. What do you want this money to do for you? I mean, you've done a good job of collecting money, but what do you want it to do? You can't just do this by long distance. You got to do a touchy-feely by how do you feel about the money that you've got and what do you want it to do? Are you family focused, or are you just totally focused on you. We were down in Florida in the past few days. And I've got a couple down there. They've got no children. And so what are they doing with their money? They're totally focused on them. They got a 47-foot boat. They just built a multi-million-dollar home, and they're totally focused on them. I've got other people who are totally focused on their kids. Where are you? That's what matters. Where are you? And do you have an advisor that's asking you those questions? Where are you? It's not just about money, because some of the people who have the most money are the most unhappy people in retirement. I want you to be happy because you're doing what you want to do, and your money's doing what it wants to do in retirement.
Yeah, great point. Well, we're talking about those periodic reviews with different personality types here with Tom Mosley of Mosley Wealth Management, 855-526-1600. Tom, you kind of touched on this one. I'm going to combine these next two. Just those folks that come in either because they're quote unquote supposed to, or the ones that are just always on the go and like getting them in for the review is like pulling teeth. How do you work those scenarios with clients?
Well, it's very difficult sometimes, because if you're wondering out there if I can't help you, say, who can't you help, Tom? I can't help you if I'm more concerned about you having a great retirement financially than you are.
Yeah,
okay.
True.
If my importance level on your having a great retirement is higher than yours, then it's very difficult to get you involved, to get you to come in. Even some of you are sitting out there and you've had the thought for maybe months, maybe a year, but I know because you come into the office on a regular basis and meet with our advisors, and you've wondered, should I go in? I know I should go in, but I don't have the time. Let me tell you something. You don't have the time not to build a great retirement plan. So you've got to have a concern about it. You don't just come in because you're supposed to, and it shouldn't be like pulling teeth to get you in. We are here to help you. We will build you a complimentary retirement blueprint that is specifically just for you. Family-oriented, great. Self-oriented, great. We're somewhere in the middle, great. Interested in data, great. Wherever you are, we find out who you are and we build your plan. We start with a blank piece of paper. So I've got to be less concerned about it than you, because you've got to pick up the phone and dial to come in and to meet with us.
Yeah, and that's 855-526-1600. All right, Tom, what about the folks that come in and they're like, I don't remember anything we talked about the last time I was here. What am I supposed to be doing? That kind of thing.
You go home and you watch the movie 50 First Dates, where the guy had a movie problem. I've got some people that are good clients, and I would call their movie 10 first reviews, okay? Because the first 10 times they come in, they don't remember a single thing that we talked about the last time, and we have to start over at square one. I tell some of my service advisors, hey, when they come in, you're going to have to start at ground zero. You're just going to have to start and explain it all again. You need to start getting educated. Here's why. I, to the utmost, will never purposely ever take advantage of anybody, but I'm not the person that's out there that you might be dealing with, okay? Mm-hmm. And there might be somebody out there who, because you're unconcerned or nonchalant about something, they will take advantage of you. It doesn't need to be 50 first dates every time you come in for a review. You need to understand your plan, not necessarily like your financial advisor does, but you need to understand your plan enough that you can at least explain the major components on it and know why you're doing and what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, we'll finish off with this last one. I like the 50 first dates analogy too. That's a good way of doing that. The high anxiety person, right? That, there's a lot of stress out there right now. So dealing with that extra assurance that they might need.
Yeah, I tell my advisors all the time, when you have those people who come in and, they're all upset about something they heard on the news, or their pants are on fire, you know what I mean, about something, understand that this is the first time they've ever retired, and this is all the money they've got, and this is everything they've worked for all their life, and they're turning that over to us to manage it for them. So there is a great deal of anxiety.
Great point.
If my advisors who are in their 30s, if something happens to their money that they've got saved for retirement, they've got 30 years to build it back up.
Yeah.
But if you're 65 or 70 and you lose your money in retirement, or somebody takes your money in retirement, then you don't have necessarily the opportunity to go back to work. We get it. We understand. That's everything you've worked for and everything you're going to live off of the rest of your life. Let us help you build a plan that'll make sure you never run out of income the rest of your life and you pay as little of that away in taxes as you possibly can. Call and get on our schedule. We'll be glad to help you.
855-526-1600 is the number to call to get onto the calendar for that complimentary written retirement blueprint. 855-526-1600 to get started today with Mosley Wealth Management. Stick around. There's more to come today here on Ease into Retirement, so don't go anywhere.
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated. With our Ease into Retirement process, envision, analyze, strategize, and evaluate, we'll help you create a plan that fits your life. Let's make your retirement simple, clear, and doable. Call us at 855-526-1600 to start your retirement blueprint today.
Back for the third quarter of Ease into Retirement with Tom Mosley, founder at Mosley Wealth Management, serving you right here in Southern California. Now, you are a financial professional as well as get to play one on the radio, but I'm going to turn you into an honorary doctor on this segment of the show here. And the doctor is in, so to speak. So I'm going to give you, our producers had some fun with these terms. I'm going to give you a financial, quote unquote, disease, okay? And you help us dissect it and provide a cure, potentially, for some of these fun-sounding, but also not fun-sounding financial diseases. If you've got acute portfolio riskopathy, you are probably stressing, having trouble sleeping, and stomach issues. What's the cause of this disease, and how do we fix it, Tom, if you've got acute portfolio riskopathy?
Well, I'm going to use the word riskopathy because risk is such a big thing. When you're 25 years old, your risk is not putting your money in the market and risking it because it's going to go up, it's going to go down, but you've got 40 years until you retire in most cases. When you're 65 years old, that risk, you swallow that risk of the portfolio being way too risky, and that goes down into your stomach and causes all kinds of problems. So I'm going to prescribe for you a test, an evaluation that we put everybody through who gets a retirement blueprint, and that's called Riskalyze. And this company used to be called Riskalyze. They changed their name, but I like the word Riskalyze, so I'm sticking with it. And you go through and you ask a few questions, and it gives you a risk score. And that risk score is like from 0 to 100. And if you're 100, that means, you're 𝗙𝗿𝗄𝗏, I'm risky. And if you're down around 0 or 20, I had a couple one time that was 22. He was 22. She was 95. Okay. And that meant that she was really able to take a lot of risk and it not go to the stomach. And he was like, man, when it gets very risky, it just goes to the stomach. So here's your prescription. Know where you are internally. Now, there's one more thing you need to do, one more test you need to do. You need to let us run an analysis on your portfolio to know how risky it is. And when your portfolio matches your risk score, your internal risk score, matches your portfolio risk score, then you'll be able to sleep at night. We call it the Swan Club. Sleep well at night. Stomachs won't cause you problems anymore, but there's too many of you walking around. And it's just like your arteries. You don't know whether they're clogged or not because you haven't had the test, all right? And you're walking around with a portfolio that right now you're real proud of because the market is sky high. And you may be looking back in 6 months, in 9 months, in a year, and you may be saying, I was such a fool at that point to not have that test done to find out what my risk score is and what my portfolio risk score is and make sure they're matching up. Because when the market's going great, that's great. When the market turns downward, then things aren't going to be so great. Warren Buffett said about 2 years ago, he said, this market has been crazy since 2009. He said, but when the market takes a big downturn again, we're going to find out who's been swimming naked, okay? Mm-hmm. Because it's going to expose everybody who's been taking higher and higher and higher risk. And let me tell you something that a lot of brokers do. They come in and you say, well, my buddy that I play golf with, he's making more than me. And your broker will say, well, I can turn up your risk. Oh, okay, let's do that. And as long as the market's going well, you're great. But when the market turns down, you're not going to be so happy because most of you don't want to go back to work. Most of you don't have another source other than your retirement income and your retirement portfolio. That's all you've got. You can't afford to lose it. It's like sitting on a big lead with a football team in the fourth quarter. You don't need to score more touchdowns. You just need to not make foolish decisions, not take too much risk, not throw interceptions, not fumble. Don't put your money at too big a risk. What's your risk? If you don't know, you need to find out.
Absolutely. And that's a great breakdown there, Doc. So good job with that one. I don't think, Tom, based on family history and my personal experience, I'm going to suffer from our next one, old Fogey's disease. But if I am wrong, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things. What is it and how do we deal with it?
Well, sometimes, people, you just old fogey disease, you go to sleep on something, you got a long lifespan and you think you're going to run out of money. Let me tell you how to decide whether you're going to run out of money and not be an old fogey and run out of money. You need to find out, number one, how much you're spending on a monthly basis. Clearly, 75% of the people who walk into our office for the first time don't have a clear budget, expectation of what they're spending. Therefore, you can't really make an educated decision as to whether you have enough money to last for your retirement unless you know what you're spending on a monthly basis. I mean, how big a bite are you going to take out of it? I mean, it's like cutting pieces of the pie. When I cut a piece of pie for myself, I mean, it's a mama load piece of pie, if you know what I'm talking
You get
about.
generous. Okay. Yeah.
That's right. And when my wife cuts a piece of pie for herself, I can tell the difference in her piece and my piece because she just doesn't eat as much. And some of you consume a lot more of your retirement portfolio on a monthly basis than others. You need to know that. You need to have that budget. You need to start early because if you say, well, why should I start early? If you have a budget even before you retire, it helps you focus more on saving for retirement, knowing what you're going to need in retirement, and it gives you a more realistic view as to when you can retire just by knowing how much you're going to be able to spend. Don't be an old fogey who's sitting around with not enough money to pay attention, okay? You need to have enough money in the retirement portfolio. How do you find that out? Find out what you're spending on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and you call 855-526-1600 to get that underway with that retirement blueprint. Tom, the last few years, all of us are suffering from a bad case of inflationitis, and we need to be able to deal with that.
Yeah, you cannot go to sleep. Some people come in and they say, well, I've got X amount of dollars. If I live 20 years, that's going to be 240 months, so I can take out this much money per month. That's a linear equation that you've just put up. That's a linear situation where nothing changes. Inflation at only 3%. If you need $6,000, not uncommon in Southern California, right now when you retire, if you need $6,000 in 20 years when you're 85, if you retire when you're 65 needing $6,000, when you're 85 to buy the same amount of stuff, you need $11,000 a month. You go from $6,000 to over $11,000 at just 3% inflation. You cannot go to sleep on the silent killer. It's like high blood pressure from a doctor's standpoint. You've got to know what your blood pressure is, and that's your inflation rate and what it's doing to your retirement. And a lot of you are real happy with your pensions. Be careful about that pension that has no COLA, cost of living adjustment, because that's going to put you lower and lower and lower in trajectory through the years, and you're going to need more money later.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've all been suffering from that. So we want to certainly make sure we're taking inflation properly into account. For many years, I think we were kind of asleep to it. We know it's there, right? To your point, silent killer, but we've certainly been awake lately on that topic. Tom, what about nursing home atosis? If you're suffering from this, you may experience a rapid deterioration of your wealth due to some sort of a long-term care event. Or worse yet, your spouse may suffer because it's eaten up all the retirement.
$10,000 a month. That's what the average person who walks into our office says they are spending on their parents' long-term care in a nursing home. So think about what $10,000 a month will do if one of you, if you're married, if you're single, it's $10,000 a month. If you're married, that's $10,000 a month for the one who goes into the nursing home, plus the one who's not in the nursing home. You don't move into the nursing home with the spouse that goes into the nursing home. You still have to keep house. You still have to pay the house payment, the car payment, the electricity, everything else. And don't forget the diapers. Goodness sakes, don't forget the diapers, all of the prescriptions and the medical stuff. So you've got to consider How are you going to pay for the nursing home care? It's definitely got to be there. And, let me throw in a last one.
Sure.
You've got to consider taxes. Some of you said when I said you need $6,000 a month, you say, we don't need that much. We only need $5,000. Well, welcome to the United States tax system, because if you're drawing $6,000 a month out of an IRA, you're probably going to spend about $1,000 a month to the government for taxes. So you've got to consider all these things. They are diseases that will cripple you in retirement. You'll still be alive, but financially you will be crippled if you don't adjust for them. That's what we do with our retirement blueprint.
Yeah, you don't want to get that Uncle Sam syndrome going on for sure, right? So make sure you're calling, getting that blueprint underway for yourself, 855-526-1600, 855-526-1600. And don't forget, if you were interested in one of the events Tom talked about earlier, go to mosleywealthmanagement.com, click on the seminars tab to see some upcoming events and let them know RSVP that you want to come out to one of those. Again, mosleywealthmanagement.com, MOSLEY, wealthmanagement.com, or call 855-526-1600. This is Ease into Retirement. More to come right after this.
You've saved, you've worked, but do you know if your money will last through retirement? Get answers with the complimentary retirement blueprint from Mosley Wealth Management. Call 855-526-1600 today. That's 855-526-1600 and get your plan in place.
Wrapping up the show this week here on Ease into Retirement with some email questions from folks just like you all around the area. All right, Tom, let's see if we can help some folks out. Did you send a question to yourself this week? Because our first question comes from Tom.
No, I did not, but some very, very well-named people are writing in. Tom.
That's right. He's got a great name. So Tom's in Woodland Hills, and he says, "Hey, Tom, I've always wanted a lake house and would love a place to bring the kids and grandkids for many years to come. If I buy one, should I make it into a rental income stream by renting it out when we aren't there, or just keep it family-centric only, even though that might be a bigger financial hit? How do you determine, if you need to do that kind of Airbnb thing?"
Well, it depends. Okay, it depends on a lot of things. Now, let me show you some of the factors you need to consider, Tom.
Okay.
And understand, I'm not a realtor. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not a lot of things. And I don't know your situation other than just the 2 or 3 sentences that you sent in to us. And I appreciate the question there in Woodland Hills. Here would be my answer of the people you need to talk to. First of all, you need to find a lake house. And I'm going to go from experience from my clients who have bought lake houses. I got one really great client right now who's in the process of buying a house up in Arrowhead right now, right on the lake, okay? And it actually has a boat slip and everything right on Lake Arrowhead. So I do understand this. And I'm not a realtor, so he has to go to, and you have to go, Tom, to a realtor to make the best deal you can. And sometimes people, they get all of these visions of grandeur in their eyes about what it's going to be like for the family to all be up there and everybody be together and things like that. So you're an easy sale, you're an easy mark to buy a lake house. But check that lake house out as though you would have to live there. Why? Because a lot of my people, they have the house down here in the flatlands. This person, is in the Inland Empire, but after a period of time, they decide, well, let's just move up to Lake Arrowhead. So could that be a house that you could live in permanently all the time? Number 2, is it really a house that somebody would want to rent out if they wanted to go to the lake? Those things have to be a little bit cut above in many cases, and they have to be in a really nice situation. They have to have a lot of amenities. Is it really the kind of house that you want to have other people in, that you want to give up? How much time will your family live into it? Those are some family decisions you need to make. There's the realtor decision, the family decision, there's the tax decision. What kind of taxes are you going to run into off of that thing? Because you're probably not going to get your Proposition 13 if you have to finance it. Say, I'm not going to finance it. If you're going to take the money out of your retirement savings, or you're going to take it out of a 401k, then you're going to have to pay extra tax to get that money out. Are you going to get a mortgage on it? Your mortgage is going to be a little bit higher if you're not a permanent resident there. There are just a myriad of financial things. Now, where do I come in? I come in as the coach, the financial coach, to look at your whole situation and say, if you take that money out, you still have enough money to live on. If you take that money out, maybe you don't. Maybe you have to rent it out. There are a lot of things that need to be evaluated that go deeper, Tom, than you just getting excited over seeing your family at the lake, enjoying the lake house, and maybe renting it out to get a little extra income on the side. There are a lot of numbers that need to be put into place before the emotions take over and you begin to really, really see it. The emotions are driving it. That's what you want to do. And you may be able to do that. But before you do it, make sure it makes financial sense for you to be able to do it. And since you could spell it CENTS before you're able to just jump in and do what you want to do there with the lake house. Be careful.
Well, to my Tom here, this is where the blueprint comes into place, right? Because if you got the numbers, I think what he's kind of stressing is, could I afford to buy it out, buy it and not have to rent it out? I think if you find that out first, right, Tom, then you know what you're working with. And then if you can, great. But if you do need to rent it, then some of those other things come into play. But maybe it's not a permanent thing either where you don't have to rent it all the time. So you got to start with the numbers to me, right?
Yeah, you got to figure out how many days of the year are you going to be able to rent it. Some areas will only let you rent it out 30 days a year. I know that from some of my other clients. Yeah. Again, I'm not the realtor, and I don't know your association situation, but some will only let you rent it out on a limited basis. And, you get into it, you make that emotional decision, and then you find some of these not nagging details out later. Make sure you know everything before you jump in.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I just bought a piece of gear for the studio and didn't realize it needed a specific 20 amp outlet on the wall. It's got those the little T hook thing there that you use. And I couldn't use it because I don't have the right outlet. So I had to get the electrician to come out and take care of that, right? So sometimes the details will get you for sure.
The devil's in the details, and to me, it's a little bit like, down in Florida. I just got back from Florida, and I went by the place where we used to swim in the 𝗪𝗂𝘁𝗂𝗍 River right there in Fort Myers, Florida. And I remember my cousin, I wanted to run off the dock and jump in right when we were first swimming one time, and my cousin said, wait. We need to make sure that there aren't any logs there. And I said, logs? Because it's a river. And there, sure enough, right where I would have jumped, there was a gigantic log, probably 18 inches around, or more. And if I'd have jumped into that and
that'll
dove
have to
into
mark.
that,
Yeah.
I could have really hurt myself. And that's what I'm saying. Check the river out before you dive in, because there might be something in there that you really don't want to live with and you want to be careful with. You've got to be careful and check it out before you make the dive.
All right. Well, great question, Tom. Thank you so much. 855-526-1600. Over to Oceanside, and Michelle, she says, I'm helping my daughter plan her upcoming wedding and having a lot of fun doing it. But my son, who is 10 years older than her, hasn't been in any serious relationships and asked, could he get extra inheritance if he never has the big, expensive wedding like his sister's getting? It seems a little tacky, but okay. So he wants to know, she wants to know, Michelle wants to know, Tom, how do you consider evening things up, or what's a good way to maybe, evenly split some of this stuff? What's some ideas?
Yeah, you know what I would recommend, Michelle, having gone through retirement and having dealt with people's retirement money for over 30 years now, I would recommend, before you split off money and give to your son, I would say wait till the end of your life. I really would say wait till the end of your life. There may come a time where your son, for instance, might come and say, we ran away to Vegas and got married, so it didn't cost anything, and he may be wanting to buy a house sometime, and you can offset the price of your daughter's wedding by maybe giving money toward a down payment, gifting it the right way, but gifting money toward the down payment of a house. Otherwise, wait till the end, because so many times I've seen this happen. The parent gave one child something because it's never going to happen to the other child, and just as soon as the money and the check was cashed, the other child, found Mrs. Right, and they decided to get married, and so now you got another wedding that you need to support. So wait till the end of life, balance it up that way. My dad did that. My dad gave and gave and gave on one side and did not have to give on the other. And I don't think my brother ever lived in a house that my dad didn't own all his life until my dad died and my brother inherited the house.
Yeah.
It all balanced out. at the end in my dad's trust. You can do that when you put together a trust. By the way, we're helping people put together trusts now directly. So that is another thing that we help you do. But I'd say wait till the end of life, because you never know what else might come along. They may get into financial trouble. They may get into legal trouble. I've seen other things where massive amounts of money has been spent and it all balanced out in the end. And it wasn't just for a wedding for both sides, but it might have been for a wedding on one side and something different on the other.
Yeah, true. And you never know if long-term care event will happen to Michelle herself or her spouse if she has one, and then they may need it for that. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways to go about it. I don't know that I would feel comfortable just asking for it outright like that, but everybody's different, so to each their own. But at the end of the day, get a strategy and a plan in place, and that way you know what you're working with. Part of that is the estate planning and what you want to see happen with your legacy. So 855-526-1600, 855-526-1600. All right, final question this week from Stephen in Arcadia, and he says, Tom, I have about 4 years left until retirement, and I'd really like to have that magical $1 million in my 401k at the time I finish working. And I think I can achieve that amount if I save aggressively. But I do have a lot of debt. So my question, should I focus more on paying off the debt or piling up the money in the 401k? What say you, Tom?
Stephen, I would say, we really need to look at your situation. But I would say, Stephen, you're in the boat with a lot of other people. You still got the debt. Do I start saving in my 401k? You definitely want to take advantage of any match that your company is giving. If they're giving a match of 3%, 4%, 6%, I saw recently, some of those matches are going back up. It'll save you on taxes. It'll help you in a lot of other ways for now, and you definitely need to do that. I would also caution you that $1 million is no longer the mark. Most people are saying it's now 1.5 or $2 million that you need. And you say, well, why is that? That's because of inflation. That's because of the stock market going up and all kind of other things. So be careful for your taxes. Get on a budget right now. Don't wait till you get to retirement to get on a budget. You'll know what you're spending. You'll know what you're wasting. You'll see what you can afford. And then any money that you find out you can pay off, get a payoff plan. Just like you put together a retirement plan, put together a plan to pay off the debt by a projected retirement date or 5 years from now or what, and be aggressive with it. Have a plan, and it's got to be a written plan. It can't be something between your ears, okay? It's got to be a written plan to get rid of the debt. And the biggest thing is something that I'm just assuming. Stop increasing the debt. If you got into a credit card debt or some kind of debt, you fell into it over a period of time, there's a leaking problem there. Stop the leak. Cut off the growth of those credit card debts. Doesn't do you any good to allocate a lot of money to pay something off if you're charging them right back up. So stop increasing the debt and get a plan to get out of debt. But start taking advantage of the match.
Yeah, definitely, right? So make sure you're taking care of the things you need to. It's great questions. As always, we certainly appreciate them, folks. Again, if you'd like to submit one, go to mosleywealthmanagement.com. That's mosleywealthmanagement.com. Of course, that's the main website there. Lots of good tools, tips, and resources. Click on that seminars tab to see about upcoming events to come out and attend one of those. Or simply just call 855-526-1600 to get started today with that complimentary written retirement blueprint and the team of all-star advisors that are here to help you do so. 855-526-1600. Again, 855-526-1600. This has been Ease into Retirement, and we appreciate your time. We'll see you next week.
Mosley Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm that utilizes a variety of investment and insurance products. Investment advisory services offered by duly registered individuals through Mosley Wealth Management, Inc., MWM. Mosley Insurance and Financial Services are affiliated companies by common ownership. License number 0K76766. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal, and any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Mostly Wealth Management Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein, provided by third parties, have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Mosley Wealth Management. This radio show is a paid placement.